Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 88. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Sean Beatty and Kevin Ardall. If you want to get involved in the show, go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Beatty Matt. Sean is Sean Beatty. Kev is at C2Believe, SEA2Believe on Twitter. Like our videos, dislike our videos on YouTube. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think of the topics we talk about. We are going to keep it a shorter episode today as we're not recording on our usual day. So we're just going to keep it to Mariners Seahawks. We'll get to Sounders. We'll get to Sue Bird, her career officially ending, and then probably some Kraken talk here soon as they're ramping up for their season. But this week we are just going to focus on the two sports that are in the biggest spotlight right now, and that would be the Seattle Mariners and the Seattle Seahawks. And we are going to start with the Seattle Mariners. And it's been pretty solid since we were last on the podcast. They were in Chicago, lost 2 of 3, and then they came home.
They were at
and
home.
won.
No, they were at home.
Oh, sorry, at home. Sorry. And then they were hosting Atlanta and took 2 of 3 from Atlanta, currently sitting at 79 and 61. So, Sean, what have you thought of the Seattle Mariners this last week?
Every time they play the White Sox, something weird seems to happen. So the White Sox series are just super weird. But so we recorded on Monday night. So after that, they won the next one, then lost the next one, then won the series against Atlanta. It's good. Honestly, like I said, what all you have to do is be 500, and in that time they've gained 2 games on Baltimore, because again, Baltimore and all these teams have to play each other. They're now a 6-game lead versus a 4, or it was like a 5-game lead, so they've gained a game. If you will go 500, you will, against good teams, you're going to go to the playoffs, and they are playing currently right now, and then play one more time against the Padres, and they play no more winning teams after this. So last week, yeah, they could have done a little bit better. They lose a 1-run game against the White Sox, then win, then shut out. And then Castillo has his first bad game as a Mariner, which is allowed. And then Robbie Ray kind of gets touched up a little by Atlanta, and then they win the next 2 games. So honestly, I've been pretty excited about the Mariners. They've been doing their thing. So again, gaining a lead in the wild card. So that's coming into right now. I think we're tied for first place wild card. I don't know. Their team was playing earlier. I didn't check the standings until about an hour ago. So I don't know I think their game ended, but I think they are tied for first wild card right now. So all good.
Kevin, what have you thought?
Yeah, no, everything has been pretty much what we've wanted out of them. Like I said, other teams are paid to play baseball, but even though it was kind of weird, we lost. And I mentioned on the podcast before that the White Sox have a lot of good talent. They just have had a lot of injuries and a lot of bad coaching. But to take the series against Atlanta was very big, especially in how they did it. Notable things, pitching has looked pretty good, other than Robbie, as Sean mentioned, Robbie Ray got touched up a little bit. Seawald kind of struggled a little bit as well, but that's okay. The hitting has been a little bit better, with the exception of tonight at the moment, but that's okay. Hopefully some more runs a run will come in. Some other notable things, other than Julio and Suarez doing their normal sexy thing, some heads up crazy plays by Sam Haggerty in left field, doing some Spider-Man stuff and making some crazy juggling catch shenanigans. He's kind of shown that he's a good utility, bench player that you can kind of put in when you need him type of deal. He's going to give you kind of a solid bat and some solid outfielding skills, and he's fast too. So, but no, other than that, I've been very happy with what we've seen, and just continue the course. Hopefully, we can just continue to do 500 or better.
Yeah, unfortunately, once again, Root, please fix your app. It's very frustrating that I can't watch games on my phone when it's just like a random error message and I don't know how to fix it. So that would be great, especially before the hopefully inevitable playoffs. But
those are all on national television. Those will be.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. But in terms of the Mariners, Julio's been great. Eugenio Suarez, just love his good vibes. Like that man just, when you watch him play baseball, like he just is having so much fun out there. It's It's so fun to watch. The pitching's been pretty solid. This team is just having a good time. I think I've said this probably a few times during the season, but it bears reiterating that this team is fun to watch. They're winning baseball games. Winning is more fun than losing. It's just a fact of life. So the fact that this team is playing well and having fun doing it is awesome. I see in their percentages on the standings, they're at about 99. They're at 99.7% to make the playoffs. So barring some sort of miracle, I don't have any wood near me. Hopefully I don't need it, but thank you, Kevin. But it looks like the Mariners are breaking the streak, which is awesome. I do have a question for you guys. My boss at the Journal, he said that we really want to get the second wild card because of how they set up with playing the AL Central winner.
The third wild card. It's the third.
Sorry,
wild
third
card.
wild card. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I told him to piss off because I don't care about the matchups. I'm sure you guys might. I don't care about the matchups. I want to get in, and then we're in. Like
if you could tell me we guarantee we're in the playoffs no matter what, we could get the third, obviously. But there's no guarantee. You can't guarantee me that. So just get in. I don't care.
Yeah. The notion to like try and get into the third wild card is absurd to me. I hope no one is suggesting that. And if they are, you're a crazy person. But yeah, the matchups would be great against the AL Central winner, but ultimately I really don't care. I want them to be in, and when you get in, you've got a chance. And this team has been playing well all season, so I like their chances against pretty much any team they face. Obviously there's going to be some tougher teams like the Astros and, possibly the Dodgers if you end up getting that far. But at the same time, you can't focus on that. Focus on what's in front of you, winning games, get in, and then focus on that opponent. Like I don't care about the matchups. I want to get in. Kevin, where do you stand on that?
Yeah, it's at this point, it's just, beggars can't be choosers type of deal. We just need to get in and then let the cards fall where they fall type of deal. I think this team is playing hot enough and having so much fun to where I don't think there's really a team in baseball, maybe other than the Astros, that really wants to face us at the moment.
Like Matthew said, the Dodgers probably don't care a lot.
Well, we're not going to see them until the World Series.
I know.
If we do. But I'm saying anybody in the AL other than the Astros probably doesn't want to play us at the moment. So it's looking pretty good. And like we said, beggars can't be choosers. Let's just get in and then formulate our plan from there on. We shouldn't be afraid to play any team, but at the same time too, we also know that we have to respect certain teams are better than others. So your road to the playoffs could be easier by where your selected seed is at, of course. But unfortunately, you just got to ride hard and hopefully do the best run you can.
Sean, thoughts?
No, yeah, I think we all are in agreement here. If in a perfect world, like I said, if you could guarantee me we get the third wild card, we play the Central winner, absolutely, that's the best matchup to move on to the next round. But at this point, just get in, and that's why you make the trade for Luis Castillo. You have a dude, and you've got your arms. That's why you make that. You are going to go with your three guys, and they're going to match up against any three guys any of these wild card teams are going to put out there. Now, the only scary scenario, the scenario I really, really want to avoid is the second wild card and Toronto wins the wild card, because that means we have to go to Toronto. And I think it has not been confirmed, but one of our pitchers won't be able to make that trip because of certain vaccination requirements. So that might be, if it's close and you're maybe tank a little bit at the very end to avoid just literally not having that, or maybe he trips and falls on a needle with a vaccine in it. I'm just saying. But that might be.
Who is
that?
That
Might be.
By the way,
that might. What's up?
Who is it that you're talking about?
Robbie Ray.
Okay.
He did not. They pushed up his start the last time they were going to Toronto, and to conveniently make it so he didn't have to travel with the team to Toronto. It's not confirmed, but when you move up a start, it's confirmed. It's as confirmed as it's going to get. So I have a hard time the team's going to allow him and his teammates are going to allow him. Look, just get one Johnson and Johnson shot. Let's do the thing. Seriously. Like, I think the peer pressure in that locker room will, but that's a conversation I'd rather avoid. That is the last case scenario. Don't have to go to Toronto. Then by doing that, you can just be the number 1 wild card. That solves it.
Also, if you're the number 1 wild card, you're going to have more home games, and that's going to give me a better opportunity to go to one. So please try and get that number 1 wild card, actually, because that'll maximize my opportunities to come see the Mariners play in the playoffs, because I don't know if it's going to happen again in my lifetime. Next season looks good, but I don't know if it's going to happen again. So maximize your home games.
You'll be okay, Matthew. You'll be okay.
I know, but
you'll be okay.
The opportunities, at least in our life so far, have been small. So really would like to go to one if I have the chance this time.
The way these arms are working out, I think, knock on wood, I think we'll be there for a little bit.
All right. Well, is there an injury update from anybody? Anybody you are keeping an eye on, Sean?
Mitch Haniger got hurt. He has back issues. He is out for, quote, a couple of days. Dylan Moore is back to rehabbing or working out. We don't have any timetables other than that. That is the updated information as of today at like 5 o'clock. So we don't have any specific. I don't know. Doesn't sound like Mitch is going on the IL, but it'd make me a whole lot better if he was playing. Make me feel a whole lot better. But yeah, that's it for injuries, I think.
I mean, it sounds like they're pretty healthy for the most part, which is a good thing. So
yeah.
It doesn't seem like there's too many pitching injuries that are of concern. Obviously, Mitch is a tough blow, but they have been without him for most of the season. So hopefully they'll kind of just continue what they were doing. Any minor league update? Kevin, do you have anything for us?
Yeah. Emerson Hancock had a very good outing recently. I think Sean has the numbers on that, so I'll let him kind of go over that. And then a player that we need to keep our eye on, Mr. Cade Marlowe, back-to-back 2020 seasons, 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases. And he's been really hot the last 2 weeks. Like, I think he had like 6 home runs within like a 10-day stretch. I think it was what they were saying. So good stuff to see. And that, I think there was another one, but I'm forgetting at the moment. Those were the 2 main ones. Yeah.
Sean?
Yeah. So the numbers on Hancock today was 5 innings, 9 strikeouts, 1 run. Doesn't say if it's earned or not, so that kind of is frustrating. But yeah, either way, 1 run. So love it. The guy I want to touch on is a guy that's been climbing up some water cooler talk among the minor leaguers. It's Brian Wu. He's 22. He's in high A right now, and he's going to report to fall ball this year, or winter Arizona. Yeah, the fall league, which is he's getting a lot of hype, and that's kind of where the risers go. He had some injuries coming in. Mariners kind of drafted him as knowing he was a little nicked up, and he's healthy now, and he was the player of the month last month, and he's been looking a lot better. And I think they were like, his numbers don't look great, but it's more his underlying stuff looks really good. So they're really pleased with he started complex league, looked great. Then A ball looked pretty good. Then high A looks pretty good. Again, some of the advanced, like the ERA is really high, but the FIP and the XFIP look really good. So it's more like this is just bad luck. So yeah, he looks like a real deal. So I think pay attention to him. That's a name that's going to climb up. He's a starting pitcher, by the way. Yeah, he's like a 22-year-old young buck. So
all right. Well, keep an eye on those players, and go ahead and tweet us any players you're watching, and how excited are you for October for the Mariners? Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Mariners Matt. Sean Scorbady. Kev's at C2Believe, SEA2Believe. Go ahead, like our videos. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Gentlemen, let's have a nice Mariners to Seahawks transition here. Let me bring up my Twitter here. I don't know. They probably weren't on TV necessarily last night, but there were some familiar faces in the crowd. I know that Juan Soto was spotted at the game yesterday, as was Ty France and JP Crawford in the Hawks Nest.
No, time out. There's one other Mariner in that picture. How dare you?
I
Go to the other way. Who's the other way? Keep going. Who's drinking the beer? Who's that guy? That's the dog himself. That's Marco Gonzalez.
so
Yeah.
incognito.
No, but there was his wife's next to him. There was a tweet later that
Well, anyway, I mean, yeah.
whose
If
audio
you saw,
is that?
what's that?
Oh, that's my audio.
Oh.
I was like,
I didn't know that Juan Soto was a Mariner. That's kind of interesting.
Well, no. I saw him in a different tweet. He was
Yeah.
not in the Hawks Nest section. He was just spotted at the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody came out for yesterday's game, Monday Night Football on
it was
ESPN.
nice that they had an off day. Yeah, they had an off day.
Yeah, it was perfect timing, and they were treated to what I thought was a pretty good game. The Seahawks ended up winning 17-16. Just go down some quick stat lines here real quick. Geno Smith, 23 of 28, 195, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Rashad Penny, 12 for 60. Receiving, it was pretty spread out. DK Metcalf led the way with catches, 7 for 36. Did have a fumble, though. And then Colby Parkinson, 2 for 43 and a touchdown. Will Dissly, 3 for 43 and a touchdown. Tyler Lockett also getting in on the action, 3 for 48. 3 for 28. On the other side, Russell Wilson, 29 of 42, 340, 1 touchdown, no picks. Melvin Gordon, 12 for 58. Javonte, 7 for 43. Javonte was big out of the backfield or catching the ball. 11 catches, 65 yards, no touchdowns. Jerry Jeudy, 4 for 102 and 1. And Cortland Sutton, 4 for 72. One of my fantasy players, Albert, I still don't know how to pronounce it, but 5 for 33. So what did you guys think of the game yesterday? Kevin, I'm gonna throw it to you first.
Yeah, it was a very interesting game, to say the least. I'll try to not go on a long tangent of there's just so much stuff to cover. I don't know what to cover first. I guess Russ's return is probably the best thing to cover first. Little disappointed. I mean, it was kind of a mixed reaction. Like, as we kind of, and Sean put it out there too on Twitter. Like when he comes out on the field, you should cheer him. But then, you know, when during the game, of course, you can boo Denver all you want because you're going against him type deal. But the whole, like, I literally just saw pictures of people wearing a Russell jersey that had Trader on it, and then bunch of dumb signs that just said a bunch of ignorant nonsense. And unfortunately, it's just sad to see people not informing themselves about, I mean, we're in America, but so, anywho, yeah, all in all, I could tell you that he was a little impacted by it. Probably a little, because honestly, that's rough. Like getting traded, going over the Broncos, and then having your very first game there is back in Seattle. Like even because I was watching the Peyton Eli broadcast, and they were even saying, like, because Peyton was like, I didn't even go back into Indy until my second season there. He's like, I imagine this has got to be really tough for Russ, like just being able to focus on Bronco uniforms, you know, versus Seahawk uniforms. Seahawks positives, I will say the offense looked good for having Geno there. The dink and dunk game of, like, you know, short passes looked good. There was some stuff that we got away with, I will say, on a couple of throws. There was one that was like a weird, like, dart to DK in the first quarter that literally could have been picked had the corner been paying attention. But it was a good mixture. Like, I thought it was going to be more pound, but I was surprised with Shane Waldron and Pete Carroll that we, you know, had a more of a, I guess, balanced attack. Is the best way to put it. But at the same time, too, that also shows you that that's kind of all you're going to see. Like, you have no real deep game unless, you know, like somebody like Ridge like catches it and just, or Tyler just takes off and just does after the catch plays. But defense looked okay. It was hard to tell if the defense was just doing really good or if it was just the slop. A lot of it was just the sloppiness of Denver. We got to get into Denver real quick. Denver played super sloppy, as you can all notice, like just really sloppiness. Penalties for one. Some of them were bad, but some of them were. There was a couple of ticky-tack ones the refs kind of put in our favor, which we got a little lucky with. I mean, 2 goal line fumbles like at the 1, like that's just unheard of. I mean, good by the defense, but also like as the running back, you should know better. You got to. It's hard to say too because I mean, even though you're running back, if you have like a linebacker that's full force punching that ball, it's going to be super hard to keep it. Like if he hits it just right, there's nothing you can really do. So it's kind of 50-50 in my opinion on that. I mean, it's sad to see Jamal Adams get hurt. That trade is not looking real good right now, guys. Not looking real good at all. Cody Barton stepped up. I thought his play was a little bit better than what we've seen in the preseason. So that was a notable, I guess, thing you could say. D-line looked solid, but there was a lot of stuff where that were just like screens and stuff where like I was like, oh, they're getting home, and then I'm like, oh, it's a screen. I'm like, well, of course they're getting home. It's a fucking screen. So all in all, it was just really, I think this was more of a we got lucky that Denver played really, really sloppy. That defense for Denver is also didn't play up to my expectations. I know they're better than what they are. So I think it's just kind of like first game struggles with a bunch of new pieces and having a new quarterback and a brand new head coach who makes very terrible last minute decisions of kicking 64. And we'll kind of get into that a little bit more about the whole you trade for Russell and then you kick a 64 yarder, was it? Yeah. We had our I almost thought we could go the whole game without a terrible Pete Carroll challenge, but he was just like, nope, we got to do it. It was clearly a first down. He's just like, nah, I gotta challenge something this game. So that's about, I don't even know. Standouts on the defense other than Barton, none that I really see off the bat. I haven't really got to look at the all 22 film. I'll try to look at it more for next week's for the San Fran game. But all in all, I think we did okay for it. We looked more poised than Denver did. But that poise, I don't think can go much higher. That's the scary part. Whereas teams are going to get their stuff together like Denver and are going to go much higher than that. Like I felt like we hit our ceiling at like 90. I think we can get to 100, but like we're at 90 in that game and 100 is like our cap. So we can do like a little bit better. Whereas Denver was at like 30%, 40% and can go up to 100, and their 100 is way higher than ours. And then just a quick note for 12s out there, just calm down. It was week 1. I know everybody gets excited with the whole Russell thing. Just calm down. We're not going to win the Super Bowl. And people like trashing on Russ after the game too. Like the dude got you a Super Bowl win. Like be respectful. Like let's not be the 49ers of 2012. Let's not just be ignorant. We're just going to trash talk every, that type of thing. Just be respectful to Russ. We beat him. Cool. It's over with. Let's move on to San Fran. So,
Sean?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest word, and it's fine to say, the Seahawks got lucky. It's totally fine. Gino, I will say, started fantastic. We have a buddy that's joked like a couple months ago how Pete would pull out all the stops and just use analytics to actually beat Russell Wilson, things that Russell's wanted to do forever, and he basically did that. Pete did everything Russell's been wanting to do forever, and it worked really well with Geno Smith. Imagine what it could have done with Russell. So Gino looked pretty good in the beginning, and did his things. Their Seahawks running game looks okay. Again, passing game looked pretty solid. I will say, like all things considered, like by advanced metrics and by other things, like the Denver Broncos were better at passing. They're better at running. They're better at pass defense. They're better at run defense. They're better at literally all four aspects of the game. The Seahawks had some crazy turnover luck, and there were 5 fumbles in the game when the Seahawks recovered 4 of them, I believe. Is that am I reading that right? Yeah, there were 5, and they recovered 4. I mean, and like Kevin said, the 2 fumbles on the 1-yard line have literally. I'm the only person in this lobby who was alive the last time that happened, and I was 14 days old the last time that happened in an NFL game. So if the Seahawks fans think that you can take a lot from week in and week out from this game, that hasn't happened in 35 years. So it's not going to happen week 2. The Seahawks, if they play like this, will win 2 games. But with that said, and why we were talking in our chat, and I posted in the chat, we're in a pick 'em. At least me and Kevin, our Matthew will be in there later. I switched my pick to the Seahawks because I listened to a couple podcasts. And I was listening to some things, say some things, and I think I said after one of our chats, we chat before and after the podcast. I said like it might get a little sloppy. I can't remember if I said on the podcast. You guys might be able to correct me, but I said it might get a little sloppy. You know, I gave the example of Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers. Like, you know, their first year was a little shaky, trying to figure each other out, and then Rodgers won 2 MVPs. So I was like, well, that, and then I saw somebody, and I can't take credit for this. I would love to know who tweeted it, but someone said, look at the quarterbacks who didn't play at all in the preseason, and look how they're doing versus some of them that have. And I was like, oh, that is interesting. Like getting at least a series with, and especially with a new team, probably would have been advantageous. And so I was like, you know, and I said this other thing, I was like, it seems like a sloppy game where it's going to be really sloppy and then some luck might be involved. And that's what all it will take. And that's basically what happened. Like Russell was better than Geno. Like his EPA per play. Oh, I have it right here. His EPA per play was 0.4 to Geno's 0.6, 0.43 to 0.26, like almost double. Like total EPA. Russell's worth of basically 20 points. Geno's worth 9. Like it was just like but I was tweeting, I was like, Seahawks, you're getting all these breaks. And what the problem is, like, what I wanted to see from the Seahawks was like, you have to capitalize. If teams are giving you opportunities, you have to capitalize. I think I saw a stat where the Seahawks got 34 yards in the second half. The defense really got eviscerated. Russell and that other team averaged over 7 yards a play. The defense didn't do anything, basically. Owosu had a nice sack and did a couple nice things and like forced a fumble, but like they just got eviscerated. Like Russell averaged 8 yards a snap. Every time Russell touched the ball, it was 8 yards. Oh wait, hold on. Oh, Cal Raleigh almost. Oh man, a foot off the warning track. Okay, dead center. But yeah, 8 yards a snap every time Russell touched it. Like it was just. They have to be better, and because I don't think I saw. Oh, another stat here: the Seahawks, Denver Broncos outgained the Seahawks by almost 200 yards. It was 180. The Bills outgained the Rams by 170, and we saw how that game went. And the Chiefs outgained Kansas City by little shy of 200. We saw how that game went. Basically, other than some lucky bounces, the Seahawks lose by like 17. So we'll take the win, absolutely do this, but like. This is not a formula to win a bunch of games. Like I've seen people online, like, we're going to win 11 games. I'm like, you can't win 11 games playing like you did. Geno showed some great things in the first half and was completely annihilated in the second half. You have to be more consistent. You have to split the difference. Geno will not play like he did in the first half for another half, probably his whole season. So, Geno, you did some good things. Let's do some things. Let's work on it. Charles, both tackles looked awesome. They did a really good job compared to who they were going against. I really like the corners. The corners all played pretty well. I know Kobe Bryant gave up a play. He's a rookie. It's fine. Like you're going against Judy and Russell Wilson. Those are both good players. He got caught one time, and that's what I was hoping for. Playing the kids, they're going to make mistakes, but it's fine, Pete. You didn't bench him. You let him keep playing. Good, Pete. That is good process. They're better than the old guys you signed off the waiver wire. We're not going to talk about DJ Reed, how he's the best corner in football last week because we should have kept him. But like, they played well. They played perfectly fine other than one mistake, but they kept those 2 receivers probably in check for most of the game. And so Russell had to throw to a bunch of tight ends and running backs, which if that means they were shutting down. Woolen was the best rookie corner in football. Like week 1 numbers, like 36% passing grade, like was really good. So what we talked about, I want to see the young kids on offense, defense play, and they all played pretty well. The rest of the defense was horrible, but dear God, the 49ers are going to run for 400 yards if that continues. When the Denver Broncos average over almost 7 yards a carry, the 49ers, who are built on running the football, are just Seahawks. Please, like we need to play just a little bit better. But I'm glad we got the win. That's really all that matters at the end of the day. But yeah, Matthew, go.
Yeah, the game, I think I was the only one who predicted a close game. I am surprised it was as close as it was throughout the entire game. I thought maybe there might be some Russ magic, especially because I had him in fantasy and lost by 1 point. So thanks, Russ. But also DK. So thanks, DK, for fumbling. But
yeah, the DK fumbles were really cost you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Ultimately, though, got the win. Was it pretty? Absolutely not.
Do we expect anything else though with repeat team? Like they're never.
I mean, I could care less about how it happens as long as the team gets a win. Obviously they need to play better to win more games down the road, but ultimately a win in the opener is great. As far as the fan chatter, my boss is from Utah and he is a Broncos fan. And yesterday he printed off a Broncos logo and put it up behind his desk. And he was just walking around flaunting it the whole day. Game happened. We were both home watching it. And he messaged me at the end. He goes, "Why did we pay $250 million to kick a 64-yard field goal?" And I'm like, I don't know. That's a great question. Really makes zero sense to anybody. I don't know.
That was like one of the most shocking things ever. Like,
except for the people who were, Nathaniel Hackett has since walked it back today. But
yeah, you better, because it was stupid.
Yeah, I don't know which broadcast you guys were watching. I really enjoy the Manning cast more than Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. So I watched that.
Yes.
Yeah, and Shannon Sharp is on there screaming, and so is Peyton. He's
trying to call timeout.
One of the greatest quarterbacks all the time. He's like, timeout, and I'm sitting there obviously they're going to call a timeout. 4th and 5, let's talk about this play and give ourselves some time. But no, they ran it down, didn't run a play for the last minute 15 and kicked a field goal. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. So
running the clock down, if you just kicked it, then you would have had the timeouts if you missed it to get the ball back. But you running it down prevented yourself from getting the time to get the ball back. He literally had 2 bullets and shot himself in both feet at the same time.
And I will also say, both the kick where the timeout was called and the kick that was actually timed was long enough to go in. So it wasn't out of the realm of possibility, but it's just an insane call.
It's 64 yards in Seattle.
Yeah, it's just an insane call for the situation, the time left, the management at the end. It was just, it was
a mistake.
It was it was insane.
Yeah,
insane.
There have been 3 kicks I saw longer in NFL history. 2 were in Denver, 1 was indoors. That's it. You're not kicking that ball in Seattle at 64 yards. Whoever is deciding a game based on that is ridiculous. The longest ever, I think, was 57 in that stadium. He was going to, by 10, basically. It was let's do this thing.
He forgot he was in Seattle. He might have forgot.
I don't know. Maybe he saw Mount Rainier was we're in the mountains. I don't know.
You guys can go to my Twitter. I'm live tweeting this is the stupidest thing. They're going to miss this kick. There's no way he's making a 64-yarder. There's just no way. I don't know. I'll take it, but man.
Yeah. And so, is it luck? Absolutely. Will I take it? Absolutely. So, credit the ineptitude of Denver there at the end for allowing the Seahawks to get the win. Now, with me talking about my boss that way, today was a lot of fun. Let me tell you that. It was anytime someone was like, "Hey, how was the game last night?" I was like, "Hey, Justin, how was the game last night?" So I understand Kevin's thing about respect, but a lot of Broncos fans did not show the same respect. And I'm not talking about Russell Wilson. I'm just talking about the Broncos in general. So Broncos fans were kind of walking around puffed up chest, and then they lost. So, you want to talk your smack, Seahawks fans, you've got like a few days, because let's move on to San Francisco. But, I will say, I think Cody Barton played excellent. I thought he was very good out there. 2 tackles for loss, a sack. I really liked Michael Jackson out there. He had that fumble recovery.
He was really aggressive.
Yeah,
he was on his hits.
I like the corners.
He played pretty solid. Sean mentioned Tariq Woolen's stats.
We talk about Al Woods like bear hugging the running back down.
Yeah. Don't try and run through Al Woods like that. I don't know how you think you could do that, but that's a fool's errand right there. When Al Woods has you wrapped up, it's over. It's over. Yeah. Like Kevin mentioned, it's disappointing for Jamal, and we'll have to have that conversation at the end of the year, depending on how the injury is. But
depending on what. Yeah. They haven't officially announced anything yet. But
it's I know you guys are all like, we gotta keep him. Like, I'm the person who's like, let's admit the mistake and move on. Like, trade him, cut him. I don't care. Like, if it's not gonna work out, it's not gonna work out. Like, I don't want to keep trying to tread this path and hope it works out. Because
the trade already cost you Russell. What else is it going to do? Like,
then get rid of him and admit your mistake. Like, that is what I would like to do.
It already burned down the franchise. Who cares? Like, at this point,
I am gonna. If I'm GM, I'm cutting him and moving on, or trying to trade him.
Honestly, in this one series, he played. I will say this. I think I thought of this joke before. I was like, is there a better play that sums up Jamal Adams than the one play where it's the Jamal Adams sack where he blitzes and no one blocks him? So it's like a gimme sack, and then he hurts himself. Like, that is the Jamal Adams play. Like, he gets hurt, and no one blocks him on a pass rush. Well, I'm like, okay, well, there you go.
Well, also, I will say there was that ball that he played perfectly, and it hit him in the face.
How many times does he get hit in the face with the football, though, Matthew? Like, it happens every year.
Like, I know. It's just like, he had a broken finger, so he might not have caught it anyway, but, like, okay,
I haven't seen him catch one. Like, I've seen him more hit him in the face than he caught. Like, he cost us the Steeler game 2 years last year because of him in the face. Like,
I will say, I thought his replacement, Josh Jones, wasn't terrible. He did have some plays that were not so great, but ultimately, I think his goal was to not get burned. And other than, I think it was the Judy play where he was out there on that play. Other than that, nothing was over the top. So that's what you want there. I thought Geno, did what was asked of him. 23 of 28, 195 and 2. Like, not trying to do too much. There was that one play where on 3rd and 2, Pete called a literal run for him on the right side, and he put his shoulder down and got the first down. So, like I said before the season, Geno, like, this is your opportunity, and certainly in the first game, you have taken advantage of it.
Well, again, he disappeared. So, he was gone. Like,
I mean, again, win the game. That's all I care about.
But the defense won the game. The one that bounces. But, like,
it's fine.
But let's say they make the kick, then we're not talking about Geno. Like, I mean, it's just like,
I mean, I even if they lose the game, Geno was good. Like, not great, not bad, just good.
Geno. Okay, let's put it in perspective. So, like, EPA is the best way to grade who's going to win MVP because they usually correlate pretty well together. Aaron Rodgers won with like a 2.6 EPA per play last year. That's literally exactly what Geno Smith had. He played like Aaron Rodgers MVP last year.
Yeah, I mean, he was 17 of 18 in the first half, and then, obviously the second half wasn't great.
Russell's was 0.42, so he murdered the Seahawks defense. They played like ass. But
so, I mean, if Geno plays like that every week, that should give him at least hopefully a chance to win a game.
But did you just hear what I said? He played like Aaron Rodgers last year. He's not going to play like that. Like, I just want him to split the difference. Be half as good as you were in the first half and half as bad as you like. Be somewhere in the middle we can work with, but like, you cannot have another half like that. You just can't do it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they wrote him off, but he didn't write back, so I'm perfectly fine with it.
But like, what I said last year is like, hey, like, it was lucky that the Bengals won and beat the Chiefs, and I was like, I got ball back. I'm like, well, guys, like, they had 55 yards and they won the game, like, in the second half. Like, that's pretty lucky, or that they prevented the other team from having 55 yards. Well, the Denver Broncos had Geno Smith have 30 yards and they won the game. Like, can't have it both ways. Like, it's okay. Like, Geno just need to play better in the second half. When that can't win the game in the first, second, third quarter, you need to show up in the fourth quarter. Like you can't have -9 yards in the fourth quarter.
I thought Penny looked good in his touches, and there was no one else that really had any other touches. So I imagine Kenneth Walker is supposed to be back this week. So I imagine it'll probably be more of a split, which is fine. I'm probably more of the person who wants to go with the hot hand, who's running well, but
I mean,
we'll see how they
Penny-
distribute it.
Penny looked fine. Let Penny
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Let him go.
You saw what happened with the split with Denver. Like it was terrible.
Yeah,
You should have
just
just
let him
let
go.
Williams have the. I mean, if you were watching the Manning podcast, you were watching.
Oh yeah, Shannon was all like, "Get
he was just
Javonte
like,
in there."
let him be the Cowboy, and he's right. Like, give him the snaps. He's the better back. Just let him be. Like, if Rashad Penny's your back, let him be the back. Just
Even
because,
that-
yes, I know Kenneth Walker is the second round pick and all that stuff, but like, let Rashad get into his reps.
I mentioned
maybe garbage time, like then give Walker some, but like there was no garbage time. So
I mentioned last podcast about the tight end room, how hopefully they used them, and they used them all. Colby Parkinson, Will Dissly both had touchdowns. Noah Fant had 3 catches as well. They kind of lined him up in the backfield a couple times. They moved him around quite a bit. So hopefully that continues of just kind of mixing and matching and moving guys around. And there was a lot of pre-snap motion with Homer and Lockett and Metcalf. So, all the stuff they were trying to do on offense, far more effective in the first half, but was enough to win the game. So cool. DK had some good catches. Like he was just going on a couple slants. He had that nice third down catch with Surtain all over him. So was pretty happy to see that. And overall, like I said, win is a win. So I will absolutely take it.
let me clarify. When I said
also-
Rashad, oh sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I do want to say, like you mentioned, Sean, Charles Cross, Abraham Lucas, awesome. And that's a tough assignment to take on Bradley Chubb in your first NFL game. Like that is no small task for any lineman, let alone a rookie lineman like Charles Cross. So kudos to them. There were a couple holding penalties. I'm not sure if it was him or not, but those can iron themselves out with more time. So ultimately, I am so freaking happy that this game with Russ is over and we can move on from this topic, hopefully for a very long time.
Sean, we're going to be very dumb because he's going to go out. He'll have like a 1,200 yard season with like 8 touchdowns. And instead of letting him go and using the running back you draft in the second round,
That's
Pete's
my
going to pay
nightmare.
him.
This is my nightmare. Like
will pay
you
him.
spend a
Yeah.
high pick on a running back.
Yeah.
Then pay the guy you already got.
He is that dumb,
And
ladies and gentlemen.
then-
He'll do it.
Like you spent. That's the dream. Rashad Penny does well because if Rashad Penny's running really well, that usually means the team's doing well. And then he gets paid somewhere else, and then you let Kenneth Walker play. Let the kids play, but Rashad Penny should not lose carries based on how he played. So I think that's pretty good.
Anyone else you guys want to mention?
I mentioned Nwosu. He looked pretty solid. Man, Dixon was a monster.
Yeah,
Like
Dixon
50
was
yards a
good.
punt, 50 yards, 2 punts, like our net average. So that's pretty tasty. Jason Myers made his 50-yarder. So there you
Shelby Harris's comments afterward were pretty funny, but
let's ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think again, just I need more consistency between halves. Like it was a really good half where the Seahawks were killing it, and then they just disappeared. And they're like, let's hold on. I'm like, I asked this on Twitter. Seahawks down to the Mariners in a playoff drought. Again, it might end a playoff drought that I was in middle school last time they're in the playoffs. I can't handle the stress of Sundays of like you playing and the Mariners playing coming down to the wire. So could you just let us know if you're gonna blow somebody out or get blown out? Just to have a peace of mind for me. So I know that my heart can't handle 2 things going on at once. Because you're gonna be playing at 1 o'clock at the same time as the Mariners, and both things are gonna be happening, and I just can't do it. Just can't.
Well, luckily
give
for me,
me
I
a-
can't watch the Mariners for some reason. So
That's
I'm only
great.
going to be watching the Seahawks.
just give me a break. Just give my heart, my old man heart now, a break, and just please go easy on me.
All right. Well, let's take a look ahead to next week. The Seattle Seahawks are hitting the road for the first time this season. They are going to the Bay Area to take on the San Francisco 49ers. This game is an NFC West battle. The Niners were in Chicago last week and fell 19-10. Although if you saw the game, the conditions in Chicago were, in just one word, insane. And if first of all, as a photographer, that photo with like Justin Fields and all the Bears players sliding in the water, that's a moment you photographers live for. So that good job to that photographer.
Would you
that
stood
photo.
in
That's
that rain
awesome.
for that long to get that photo though, Matthew?
I would have, because I have attended a Seahawks game and I wore all my rain gear because this was October and I figured it would rain, and I was going to stand down there regardless of how much it rained. It only rained a little bit, so that was good. But
That was definitely not
come
a little
prepared.
bit. That was not a little bit.
You're going to need to bring some extra socks, that's for sure. But come prepared when you go to Chicago games. So San Francisco is hosting, and 1-0 at 0-1. What are you guys looking for in this game? Sean, I'll start with you.
It's so hard because kind of like what I was saying with this was you can't take anything away from the 49er Bears game because Matthew said it was a monsoon. Like, what are you running routes, anything? You can't take away anything from a game like that. Like, you can't run an offense. It's hard to stop and start with a defense. Like, passing, kicking, like all of it's just like, it was ridiculous that they even played. I mean, play the game obviously, but it was ridiculous that you function as a game. That one is a coin toss, and whatever happens in a game like that. So, but I don't still. So saying that, I don't know what to make of the 49ers still. With that said, knowing who the 49ers are and Kyle Shanahan, they are a run scheme and they're pretty good at it. They did lose Mr. Mitchell.
Eli Mitchell.
There we go. Thank you. I couldn't get it out. Eli Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell. He's out for the year. So, or it looks like he's out for some time. And so they're going on the backup already. Debo looked really good though, running the ball. Trey Lance looked, well, a mess, but again, it's pouring rain. So I'm interested to see how they do in a warm environment where they can actually run, because that team is going to be explosive one way or another. They're going to run. They're going to have explosive run plays and be dynamic. Again, Seahawks, if you play like that, you're going to lose by 30. The Vegas has the current line at 10.5 favor 49ers. They expect you to lose by double digits, more than by the Broncos. I don't know if I would go that far as the only person in our pick'em who picked the Seahawks. I'm gonna go to that well again. I don't think it's gonna go well. I think they do lose by 10. I do. I just don't see how, if they play like that on defense, I just see Trey Lance and Debo Samuel's running all over it. I just really do. Not passing a ton, just running. 17-27.
Kevin?
Yeah, this one's tough. We didn't, as Sean kind of mentioned, we didn't really get a look at what we're looking at. My mind always wants to go to the rock, paper, scissors game that we've mentioned on this podcast before, that we always beat. We always beat Shanahan and the Niners, and then the Niners beat the Rams, and then the Rams beat us.
But that was because we had Russell. We don't have Russell anymore.
Yeah, I know. But now we don't have Russell anymore, so that's kind of the big factor. I still think it's going to be. I think Trey Lance will do better, of course, but it's his technical rookie season, kind of. So I think there's still going to be some growing pains. But that being said, he's also going against rookies for the most part, other than Diggs in that backfield. So,
gosh, Trey Lance was so bad yesterday, though.
It's gonna be tough. I still know the front seven for them is good. It's just I know that they were struggling with the secondary last year, so I don't know what to feel like in the throwing game. Though Pete's probably gonna want to run it because he's down.
I don't know. This might be a game you don't want. I don't want those boys pinning their ears back on that D line. I don't want them coming after Geno.
No.
I think your only hope is if you run it and keep it away from that.
I mean, I think they'll do a good mixture bag.
But man, that defense wants to do one thing, and it's get after the passer. Don't
I
let them
will
do
say
it.
this is going to be a big test for the tackles. This is where you're going to see them. I mean,
Yeah.
now Bradley, not to take anything from Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb's phenomenal.
He's not
And
Bosa.
But I mean, you there's multiple people in that front four that are going to be hungry for some Geno. Man, it's tough. I'll say, God, I'll say Niners by. I'll say, God, 24-16.
One score game. Okay.
Yeah, I think this game will be a lot of running. I think it's going to be mainly from Seahawks running backs and Trey Lance. I was very surprised. Let me look back, but I don't really feel like Trey Lance attempted that many runs in the game against the Bears. But that is he had 13 carries for 54 yards. I'm a big old liar.
That was a ton.
Yeah. Well, I think he'll be more efficient against the Seahawks, I guess is a better way to put it.
Yeah, it's not a literal monsoon. So
and obviously the monsoon will not be a factor anymore, but I also think that Lance is going to want more designed runs for him. I think he'll do a lot of play action, roll out, and just have open space. Debo's going to get the ball in the backfield. No Elijah Mitchell, so it'll be interesting to see who is the running back. And you guys should not even worry about fantasy football waivers. There's no one on San Francisco you want.
It'll probably be Jeff Wilson Jr.
But yeah, that's what I said going into it. Don't draft 49 running back because it's like Sean McVay, Drew Brees, wide receivers. Doesn't matter every week. It's a different person.
I think they're going to go with Tyrion I forget the rookie, the third rounder that they got.
In the game, it was Wilson,
but Jeff Wilson, I think will be in, but
he's always actually. And the crazy part too is Jeff Wilson has always looked good against us. So.
Yeah, so I think there's going to be a lot of running. I think Geno will play well, but ultimately, I think San Francisco will win this game. I think it's going to be low scoring, so I'm going to go. I know San Francisco's 6.5 point favorite.
I thought they were 10.5 as of a couple hours ago.
Oh, really? Oh, it's gotten bigger.
That's what.
Well, I'm going to take the under. I think it's going to be 21-17, I think.
I mean, I guess I technically took the under too.
So I'm going to go 21-17. Let's run down the rest of the NFC West. Arizona is at Las Vegas. I am going to take Vegas in that one. Arizona did not look good in the opener, and even though I picked them to win the NFC West, I think they're going to flip the script and be bad early and then be good late. So
Patrick Mahomes is good. Patrick Mahomes is really good.
That too. He is very good. Who you guys got? Arizona, Vegas?
It's 1 week. It's so hard to tell who these teams are already. I'll say Arizona, actually. I think Arizona wins.
Kevin?
I think it's gonna be close.
Yeah, I think it's close.
I think Raiders squeak it out just because
Raiders 6-point favorite. Oh wow.
Raiders have better weapons at this point, and Cardinals secondaries kind of. Well, I mean, it's hard to keep Mahomes and that.
Yeah, it's hard to gauge it off of the Mahomes game.
So the Derek Carr's not going to score 5 touchdowns. Could he score 2 to 3 touchdowns through the air against him? Probably, and possibly a running. I think it's going to be kind of like a 24-21, maybe like 26-24, like type of game where it's going to be like within a field goal. I think Kyler and them will perform better. It's just that defense is still kind of. And just Kyler's got to get used to his makeshift weapons down. I mean, because all he has is Hollywood Brown, which did get a touchdown. I called that. But which all he does is a
You
deep
got a
threat.
garbage time touchdown. You called it.
Yeah.
I will agree with that because I tried to spot start AJ Green in a league last week and it did not work. Did not work.
Your only hope was garbage time.
No, my only hope was that Dortch was not on the field. Whoever that was, who got most of the targets, which was very odd. But
that Cardinals Chiefs game was over real fast. Like it was over. It was over. First quarter was over. Like, oh god.
And then also, I believe playing at the same time. Actually, all the NFC West games at the same time. Atlanta is going to LA Rams. I think we can all consensus on the Rams on this one after.
Yeah, they have the same odds. They're 10-point favorites as well. The Vegas still views the Seahawks as the same as Atlanta Falcons. There you go.
I'm gonna say, yeah. I think Atlanta will still do okay. I don't think they're going to perform. One, they know the Saints well, so that's why because I was kind of surprised they put that much up against the Saints, because that defense is really good. But they know them well, and it's week 1, so week 1 is always just a mess.
It's just a mess.
So I say I would take the points with the Rams. I don't think it's going to be crazy stretch. I think it'll be like a 10-point win.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let us know what your prediction is for Seahawks, 49ers, and the rest of the NFC West. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Beatty_Matt. Sean is at Sean_Beatty. Kev is at SEA2Believe on Twitter. Like our videos on YouTube. Tell us what you think in all the comments below. Hopefully, next pod we'll have a more fuller podcast. Actually, we almost got an hour, so maybe it's about a normal podcast. But we'll have more. We'll have probably some Kraken, probably some Sounders. We'll talk a little bit about Sue Bird after her career just ended, and then we'll have another Seahawks game and some more Mariners to talk about. So with that, we will see you next time on Washington East to West Sports. Oh, and we might do some film work. We'll see if we can get NFL Plus to work, possibly. So with that, we'll see you next time. Bring back the Sonics.